Chapter 7, The Journey to Wave. It had been a month since Team 11 was formed. The team had grown stronger together both physically and emotionally. The three shared a strong bond with one another. It had taken some time and effort, but Naruto and Yakumo were eventually able to crack Sasuke's shell enough that he would now willingly hang out with the two. Another bond that had increased exponentially was that of Naruto and Yakumo. Ever since their time together after training, the two hung out more often, getting to know each other to the point of becoming best friends. They understood each other because of similar feelings of loneliness. Secretly over the past month, the two had developed feelings for one another but kept quiet about it. The three as a whole had the best teamwork and best record for missions completed despite being D-ranked. It is after finishing the D-ranked mission of finding Tora the demon cat that we find Team 11 in the Hokage's office. Hokage's office. Minato was already tired from his earlier paperwork, which had now increased due to the actions of Team 11. Your mission was to capture Tora and return it to the daimyo's wife. Care to explain what went wrong? Minato asked, waiting for an explanation. We returned the cat. I don't see what the big deal is, stated Naruto with both his teammates nodding in agreement. Itachi put his face in his hands out of embarrassment. Minato's eye twitched violently. The big deal is that when returned, Tora had half of his tail cut off and cauterized by a fire jutsu. The cat is also now suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder due to a genjutsu placed on it. I would say all in all that is a big deal, he said. I am tempted to assign you 20 more D-rank missions without pay, he said, getting gloomy looks from the team. Naruto was more annoyed than gloomy. He hated this. He wanted to fight. He needed a challenge, something he most certainly was not getting from these ridiculous D-rank missions. The only thing more annoying to him than the D-ranks was the fact that the Hokage and his wife had taken to trying to get him to return home. Even the Sennin had attempted to get on his good side, offering training and summoning contracts, acting like the neglect that he had suffered from them didn't exist. It made him sick. Yakumo had suggested that he give Minato and Kushina a chance, and Naruto had promised that he would think about it. Lately he had been thinking about reconciling with his parents. He knew it would take time, but he was slowly becoming more open to the idea as long as they stopped annoying him with questions like "How are you?" and "Are you eating your vegetables?" Naruto decided to push his thoughts to the side as he saw Sasuke ranting about something, so he decided to tune in. I think it's time that we get something worth our time. We are the strongest genin team you've got, and you know that, so give us something that will be a challenge, Sasuke finished before earning a punch to the head from Itachi. Itachi had witnessed his brother's growth in the past month and was genuinely proud. His little brother had grown not only as a fighter but as a person as well. But even after his transformation, Sasuke still needed to be reminded of his place from time to time. Minato contemplated Sasuke's words and looked at Itachi. Itachi, do you believe that your team is ready for a C-rank mission? Minato asked, gaining an immediate response of a nod. Very well. I have an escort mission for a bridge builder to Wave Country if that satisfies. I'm confident that you would be able to handle any mishaps, Itachi, he said, but became confused as Itachi shook his head. My apologies, Lord Hokage, but I will not be able to attend this mission due to clan business. Even though I will be absent, my team is more than skilled enough to take this mission on alone, Itachi stated, gaining blushes from his genin. After a few minutes of thought, he nodded slowly. He had heard very good things about Team 11, also known as the Second Coming of the Sennin, shorter name still pending. Itachi openly bragged about his team when asked about them, which was very out of character for the normally quiet, well-reserved Jounin. Fine, but if there are any problems, you are to send for help immediately. Do you understand, Team 11? He asked and received nods in response. Good. Anbu, bring Tazuna in. Moments later, an obviously drunk old man entered the room, stumbling a bit. So this is what I get for all the money I'm paying? A couple of brats still in their diapers, he asked, causing Team 11 to unconsciously leak a small amount of killer intent. Before it could go any further, Minato intervened. Tazuna, I assure you that this genin team will get you to Wave without a hitch, he said. Tazuna just grunted. Itachi turned to his team. I want each of you to pack for a C-rank mission and meet at the gates in an hour. I have to go sober the client up. All three genin nodded and shined out of the office. Village gates 1 hour later, the three genin stood together talking about the mission. I'm pretty nervous, to be honest. Our first C-rank and we don't even have Itachi-sensei to help us, Yakumo said, looking down. Naruto looked at his friend and took her hand in his, causing her to look up. We've got each other. As long as we stick together we'll be fine, so don't worry, Yakumo said Naruto in a gentle tone. Yakumo smiled appreciatively and tightened her grip. Sasuke rolled his eyes at the sight. Get a room you two, he said, causing Naruto and Yakumo to blush. Anyway, like Naruto said, we'll be fine. Especially with an Uchiha on the team, he said proudly and full of determination. But you haven't even unlocked your Sharingan yet, Sasuke, Yakumo said, causing Sasuke to immediately develop a rain cloud over his head and start muttering statements about dishonoring the Uchiha clan. Both Naruto and Yakumo's sweat dropped at the sight before going over to comfort Sasuke and try to help him regain his former confidence. This is the sight that Itachi and Tazuna arrived to. Itachi sighed and Tazuna looked at Itachi before asking, is it too late to get a different team, which never got a reply. When the team realized that the client and their sensei had arrived, they immediately recovered and stood straight waiting for instructions. Itachi shook his head. Okay team, you know the mission, now go out there and make me proud, he said with a small smile. The team smiled as well and nodded. And with that, Team 11 and Tazuna the bridge builder took off to Wave. While Naruto and Sasuke were keeping a lookout for any bandits, Yakumo was looking around and taking in the scenery of the forest outside of Konoha. So this is what it's like outside of Konoha. I like it, Yakumo said before turning her attention to Tazuna, who seemed very nervous. So Tazuna, what's Wave like? Yakumo asked, trying to calm him down. It seemed to work as Tazuna thought for a moment before speaking. Wave used to be beautiful. The people were happy and everyone took care of one another. It was perfect. That is until Gato showed up. Gato is the head of the Gato shipping company, so he quickly commanded a lot of authority over us because we need the seas to survive. But Gato came in and started bleeding us dry. We were so scared until Keiza the village hero stood up to Gato. Gato had him executed in front of everyone to make an example of what happened when someone defied him. After that, our village lost hope. But this bridge I build will make it so that we aren't forced to rely on Gato and bring hope to our people, he said with determination that impressed Team 11. After Tazuna had finished, the four continued walking until they came across a puddle in the middle of the road. Naruto and Sasuke shook their heads. We're never gonna hear the end of this from Yakumo, are we? Asked Sasuke. Naruto shook his head no. One thing Yakumo hated was when people misused Jinjutsu. After beating the person to a pulp, she tended to go on long rants about the skill and beauty of Jinjutsu and how much she hated those who tried to tarnish it. Naruto and Sasuke stopped in their tracks and walked back towards Tazuna to cover him. Whatever the threat was, they doubted that it would be too much to handle. After only a month of training under Itachi and with Naruto and Sasuke, her body was no longer frail and weak. She now had the most physically fit body of any of the girl in her genin class, which really came as no surprise except maybe Narumi, who had trained seriously her whole life. Yakumo was also very flexible and incorporated that into her taijutsu. As Yakumo and Tazuna stopped to see what was wrong, Yakumo saw the puddle in the road. Her eye immediately began twitching and a vision of the Shinigami appeared behind her. Clenching her fist, she walked forward until chains from the puddle tried to wrap around her, but she jumped straight up, avoiding them. After the chains fell, two figures jumped out of the puddle, both wearing hidden mist headbands with a scratch through the symbol. Naruto folded his arms. The demon brothers Gozu and Mizu? Interesting, Naruto said before narrowing his eyes. Sasuke looked at him. You know them? He asked, and Naruto shrugged. On the way back to Konoha, I read the bingo book. These guys are C-rank Chunin level opponents, said Naruto. You think she can handle both of them? Sasuke asked, getting a blank stare in return. Looking back to the battle, Sasuke muttered, you're right, stupid question. Tazuna in the meantime was internally panicking and praying that he was not about to get a few kids killed. Currently Yakumo was simply dodging the attacks from the demon brothers with such fluidity and grace that it infuriated them. It infuriated them because it was a sign that this little girl was toying with the man. From the look on her face, she was bored. Their opinions were correct. Yakumo was bored, so she decided to end it. After dodging another strike from Gozu, she pushed off her back foot while grabbing her kunai and dashed towards him, stabbing just above the heart and flipping into the air. As she came down, she brought her foot down on Mizu's shoulder, knocking him down. Naruto and Sasuke, seeing that the battle was over, approached Mizu. Naruto stepped forward. Let's make this quick and simple, shall we? Your brother is going to die if he doesn't get treatment, and you are going to die after my friend here, he pointed to Yakumo, puts you in a Jinjutsu that makes you wish for death. Or you could tell us why you attacked us. We let you go and hopefully never see you again. Choose now, Naruto ordered in a dark tone. It was a no-brainer for Mizu, who couldn't feel his arm because of Yakumo's kick. He quickly spilled everything he knew and then was allowed to leave. The three genin turned to Tazuna. So it looks like Gato wants you dead. Ayo, well, let's keep moving, he said, and the team started walking forward. Tazuna was shocked. He was sure that the three would abandon the mission because he had lied, but here they were continuing in spite of it. Hurry up, Tazuna shouted Naruto, shaking Tazuna out of his stupor as he ran to catch up. It had been an hour since the four had gotten off the boat to get them closer to Wave, and the team was bored. Luckily they were almost there, according to Tazuna. So bored. When are we gonna get some action, yelled Sasuke before the team heard a buzzing sound. Immediately Team 11 and Tazuna, thanks to Yakumo being there, dropped to the ground before a giant sword could decapitate the man, flew into a tree. Getting up, Naruto turned to Sasuke. You just had to jinx it, didn't you, Naruto said, and Sasuke had the decency to blush in embarrassment. Naruto shook his head and looked at the sword, which now had a man crouching on it. The man wore wrappings around his lower face and had a hidden mist headband with a scratch down the middle like the demon brothers. Zabuza Mamachi, demon of the hidden mist, a rank missing nin of Mizugakure, wanted for attempting to murder the current Mizukage. What a treat, Naruto said, focusing mainly on the sword Zabuza was crouched on. If he played his cards right, he might be able to get a sword fight worth his time. Hand over the bridge builder and I'm glad you live, Zabuza said plainly, but keeping his eye on the blonde, who had a growing smile on his face which was a bit concerning. Naruto started chuckling, which soon turned into a very loud, insane laugh. After catching his breath, Naruto turned to his teammates and simply said, "He's mine," before holding out his arm. To Zabuza and Tazuna's shock, a giant sword appeared in his hand.